is there any specific hadith which says to cover your head before entering the bathroom or while reading the Quran? As far as my knowledge is concerned, I don't know of any hadith in which the Prophet covered his head while going to the toilet for the call of nature. I don't know of any hadith of the Prophet or the Prophet. But there is a hadith, or Ibn Arwa, he mentioned that his father said that Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, when he went for the call of nature in an open place, he covered his head for feeling ashamed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there is an hadith in which the first caliph of Islam, that Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, and it's a Sahih hadith, that whenever he went in an open place for call of nature, he felt ashamed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he covered his head. So if someone wants to cover the head while going for call of nature, it's no problem. But this is when Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, went in an open ground, not in a closed toilet. So this will not be applicable for a closed toilet. But if someone wants to cover the head in the closed toilet, no problem. But you cannot say it is a sunnah to cover the head in a closed toilet. This also, if you want to follow the actions of Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him. He was the first caliph of Islam and the most amongst the full Muslim Ummah, not counting the Anbiyas. He alone is heavier than the full Muslim Ummah. But this also, the hadith is very clear cut, in an open place. So if you go for call of nature in open ground and you cover that, you can say that I'm following the actions of the first caliph of Islam. It will give you sawab. But in normal closed toilet, this is not what Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, did. But if someone does it, there is no problem, but it is not a sunnah. The second part of the question, that is covering the head while reading Quran a sunnah. There is no evidence in anywhere in the Quran or the hadith in which you have to cover your head while reading the Quran. So it's not that you have to cover your head while reading the Quran. But there is that the Prophet, when he went out, normally out of the house, used to cover the covering. That generally is a sunnah. So there's no evidence while reading the Quran you should cover the head. But in certain cultures and certain parts of the world like India, Pakistan, etc., covering the head is there for respect. So if someone follows the culture and covers the head while reading the Quran, there is no harm. But he should not say it is part of Islam. So if someone says it is part of Islam to cover the head while reading the Quran, this is wrong. But if someone does it because he's an Indian or he's a Pakistani and he wants to give respect to the Quran, because of culture it is permitted. But it's not part of Islam, it is part of the culture. So you're following culture to give respect and you're covering your head because it's part of your culture to cover the head for respect. And in that way, while reading the Quran you read, there is no harm. But to say it is part of Islam, that is wrong. If someone covers the head because of the culture, there is no harm at all. He can continue covering, but it's not part of the deen that you have to cover the head while reading the Quran. But generally, the Prophet, whenever he went outside, and there are muhaddiths like Shaykh Nasr al-Albani says, that if a narrator did not cover his head when he was traveling outside, he was not considered to be a part of the narrator. It's not authentic. I mean, those people are strict muhaddiths. So of course, covering the head generally is part of, it is sunnah. Some scholars say sunnah, some say mubah. So in that context it's different, but there's no evidence covering the head is required while reading the Quran. So hope this answers the question.